what are you doing in your organisations to help create an inclusive and supportive workplace that tackles head-on bullying, discrimination and harassment and helps people to speak up? Kombo, if I can come to you.
So for us, it's all about trying to make sure that we are living out our values, and we do that from the very beginning. So in terms of who we are hiring, we make sure that those are people who are culture carriers, who align with our mission and align with our values. And one of our key values is open, honest, always. So we make sure that at interview stage, we have an interview with peers across the business. So that's open to anyone who's interested in kind of supporting with that. We then take everyone through radical candor training. So it's all about how we can make sure that people are developing those relationships and then challenging directly, but it's in a psychologically safe environment because everyone kind of knows the rules of engagement. We also have a really flat structure as well. So the idea of you can speak to absolutely everyone within the organization, whether that is a member of the SLT or one of your managers, you can always approach anyone within the organization, and we kind of use Slack in that kind of way. We have lunch all together as a team as well. So we're brilliantly lucky to have a chef who makes lunch for us at 12. And the way that we've been intentional, even in terms of the table layout, so it's not kind of segregating people. It's kind of like that canteen style. We're all in there together. We get people to mix around. And as I said, we're a go-to-market team. So we encourage collaboration around different incentives. We also use disc profiling as well as a way for people to understand different personality types and also be open to how we all kind of accommodate and change our style in line with the differences that creates. In our workplace as well, we have a platform that allows everyone to be able to kind of nominate a charity throughout the different quarters that we will support. If there's a particular cause that an individual is interested in, then we encourage kind of bringing the community into our workplace. So it's all about, for example, some people were really interested in women in tech events. So we now provide a venue for them to be able to host their events. So we just kind of open it up so that the culture is kind of being created by every single person. So I loved that when Justina was talking around creating that inclusive organization where you invite diverse groups into the organization, but you realize that is creating the new culture. They're not just assimilating, and that's really important to us in the way that we operate. We also run a bi-weekly pulse survey as an opportunity for people to share their views, and that can be done anonymously, or they can do it as named, and then we respond to that feedback. And in cases where unfortunately anything like harassment has occurred, just going back to kind of Kate's approach, we do lead by transparency and that idea of open, honest, always. So we will share what we are going to follow up and what the outcomes are, and reiterate our kind of zero tolerance view on that, but also acknowledging the confidentiality that we have to maintain.
Thanks so much. There's loads you're doing there. That's absolutely fantastic. Kate, you already slightly kind of got into this with a little bit. We're talking about how you're using report and support, but is there anything else you'd like to add what you're up to?
Yeah, really similar in terms of some of the things that Kombo's doing over there as well. You know, it definitely starts from the top. It's definitely about leadership, driving those behaviours. It's a real big focus on our values. One of our values, our top value, is do the right thing. And we say that trumps all other values. So, you know, regardless of what you're doing and for what purpose, if it doesn't feel right, it's not right. And we talk about that all the time. It's something that's discussed at every review, every one-to-one. We talk about behaviours. We talk about, you know, that sits alongside your performance. Your behaviour is you know, more important than that, and it's discussed at every opportunity. And we try and provide safe spaces. We have a task force, an employee voice, an opportunity for people to talk, to feedback. They have representatives. We do pulse surveys as well. We ask for feedback. We provide multiple different ways of providing feedback, just to try and capture, you know, as much as we can. And again, we're transparent about the action that we will take on the back of that feedback. Report and support is, you know, is just one element of those options.
Absolutely, and so it should be, and that's where my role, plays an important part in the work we do, which is like, you can't just have report and support and be like, that's brilliant harassment done. It absolutely needs to be part of a scheme of work that is about, all of the prevention, response, and workplace culture piece. So and Justina, coming to you, what's you've been doing at Slaughter and Maid to sort of directly address bullying, discrimination, and harassment?
Well, if I just take a slightly different approach to that, we've been doing something to change the culture in regards to opening up, creating a culture where people feel open to just raise issues and concerns. So we've been working with our learning and development team. We are rolling out a firm-wide training program, which is around everyday inclusion. It focuses on two things: equipping people to calling the contribution of others, and create a culture of calling in, and then speaking up around things that they see, witness, hear, or just sense themselves. And this is, we believe, an important part to the number of things that Kombo and Kate have mentioned, because essentially, if we can get to a place where there isn't the formality, and actually you witness something, you see something take place, and you just call it out there and then, it creates a culture where actually things don't need to escalate, and actually we're creating and people are more mindful. And the key part of that training program is, how do I respond when I am the culprit? I've been called out on something, and the whole premise of the training program is we start on the base of no intent. So it kind of removes that fear factor of, we're assuming a malicious intention there, but actually it's coming from a good place and something has gone wrong. Now, obviously, we do know there are instances where that is not the case, but we want to start there, because I would say a high proportion of those times is where it does start from. So how do we address those so that we can remove the need for HR involvement, but actually equip our people with the skills to be able to navigate and work in a very diverse environment? And an example of that, for instance, could be that we planned a social and it falls during Ramadan. Now, you could just kind of sit there and think, that's not really cool. Or you could just speak to someone and say, look, we planned this event during Ramadan. Perhaps we could either move the date, or if it doesn't work, could we look at how we do something post-Ramadan and perhaps celebrate Eid and bring in everyone? So it's just really, and these are things that when you're looking at a busy schedule, it can be an oversight. Ramadan is not top front of mind, but it's allowing for those things. Or it might be the calling in piece, where you recognize there's a certain individual who hasn't spoken in a meeting, and inviting them to come in and say, hey, we haven't heard from you. Do you have anything to say that you'd like to contribute? When people are speaking on top of each other, can you pause, think, actually, it's my voice that's been speaking, let me allow someone else in. So it's really around, we're doing a bit to try and change the culture at the firm to equip people with the skills. And we're working with a team of psychologists. We're doing surveying people before the start of the program and at the end to really measure the change. And it's a two-stage program. So one is a workshop for 2 hours. And then the second piece is a clinic where you come back and you tell us how you found practicing the techniques and tools and what's been uncomfortable and how we can equip you with those skills. And hierarchy has been something that's been mentioned. It's easy to call out people who are peers, but calling out senior individuals is more tricky. But the good thing with this program, we have run it for everyone all together. So we've got our senior leaders all the way down to the most junior members, cleaning team, absolutely everyone is receiving the same program. So they're aware of the benchmark that we're setting for the firm.
And are people mixed into those training sessions as well?
Mixed. Yes, they're mixed. Nice. And that is intentional. And the clinic, so the workshops are by your department. So the training is happening at the departmental level, but the clinics are mixed. So it can be cross teams. And that the reason for that is we want each other to hear the different experiences and challenges they are facing, because they will be different in different departments. So it could be someone in finance saying, someone sent me a snotty email and I felt it was because they were senior, whilst that senior person is saying, actually, I was just time poor and my manners got the better of me and I just dropped etiquette. And so that learning is happening, that the assumption of that person is rude, this person is really busy. Actually spending topping and tailing my emails with just simple etiquette and niceties goes a long way when you're asking a junior member to do something. And a quick reply, thank you, doesn't cost you anything, it goes a long way. So it's just those type of things. We're trying to really close down those barriers.
Yeah, culture and behaviour, like there's just key place to target. It sounds like a fantastic scheme. Thanks for sharing, Justina.